Hello guys, Shoei here continuing with the class trial, and now we will listen to Makoto explain to us why he is not the killer, I guess. He says, actually, the murder couldn't have happened anywhere near 10 o'clock. It had to have taken place way later. Alright?
And what makes you say that?
Because of the sprinklers in the garden. The sprinklers are set to go off right at 7:30 every morning, right? So if the body had been in the garden before 7:30, then it should have been completely soaked.
Oh, hold on. I remember this part perfectly. The body was wet. Dripping wet, in fact.
Sorry, Toko, but you're wrong.
I'm wrong? How? Are you saying only the mouth down south was wet? How dare you spew such indecent words?
Wait, what? Huh?
No, I'm saying that the body was wet, but not because of the sprinklers.
What do you mean? By denying the sprinkler, are you trying to deny my entire existence?
You're denying the sprinkler!
Man, you're totally wacko.
Yeah, she is.
If you really think it wasn't the sprinkler, you'd better tell us why!
I need to prove that it wasn't the sprinklers that got the body wet. All I have to do is hit Toko with certain evidence. Is this a bullet time? Oh, damn it.
I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no! I don't know anything! Hold on! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no! I don't know anything! Hold on! Are you trying to blame me?
Oh, I
I
have to.
admit nothing.
I have to
Are
select
you
in the
trying
end
to blame
the.
me? I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no! I don't know anything.
I have to select the final strike. What?
How can you say it wasn't the sprinkler?
This should prove it.
Oh, okay. I didn't have to choose anything. Oof, 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 oof.
Just remember what the body was like after the explosion, and you'll see why it wasn't the sprinklers.
Yep.
The top half of the body was wet, yes, but the bottom half was completely dry. If the sprinklers got the body wet, shouldn't the whole body have been wet?
Whoa.
So they only got the top wet? The bottom was completely dry? What a brutal maniac!
What are you talking about?
I'm so sick of her.
Yeah.
Let's just move on. The reason only the top half was wet was because while the body was still on fire, I doused it with water. But only the part on fire, the top half.
Oh, then I guess the sprinklers really didn't do it.
Thank you.
So if the sprinklers didn't get the body wet, then the murder must have taken place
Let's get the body wet. Let's get the body
sometime
wet.
after the sprinklers turned on at 7:30 in the morning.
Yep.
Which means she must have been killed sometime between then and when the body was discovered at 9.
But Makoto's alibi was only missing from 10 o'clock last night to 7:30 this morning, right?
So there's no way Makoto could have done it. I guess you had an alibi after all. Good for you.
I have an alibi,
In
guys.
which case, the only one left without an alibi is Kyoko.
Yep. Kyoko's the only one without an alibi, which would mean that Mukuro's killer is. I think it kinda is and isn't at the same time. Kyoko murdered someone that's.
I'd just like to say one thing.
Yep.
If you vote for me and I die here, the mystery of this school will stay hidden forever.
Okay.
Which is why I can't let that happen.
Okay.
So are you saying you're not the culprit?
Of course I'm not. I have no reason to kill anyone. This is a trap the mastermind has laid for us.
Alright.
A trap?
We're this far into the game, and now you decide to blame me? Stop wasting time! Stop wasting energy! You really think your little trick is gonna work?
So I guess the bomb was put by Monokuma and Toko touched it, so Toko is the culprit and so on. And that's why Kyoko is saying that it was a trap by Monokuma, but it wasn't a trap by her. But maybe she is the one who made the Ikusawa woman unconscious. And then Monokuma put the bomb. Maybe. We'll see.
Shut up, you!
You got it, boss! Shutting up now!
Anyway, Kyoko, you actually did have a reason to kill her.
Did she?
Huh? She did?
She thought Mukuro was the ultimate despair. In other words, the mastermind behind everything. So she killed her to try and put a stop to all this. Isn't that right, Kyoko? But you made one catastrophic mistake. Mukuro wasn't the mastermind at all. And as a result, we were forced into another trial, something I'm sure you weren't at all expecting.
So, that was her motive?
If she had a motive and no alibi, well then, I think it's pretty clear Kyoko's gotta be the culprit.
No, I don't think that's the case.
I'm not the only one without an alibi. Makoto's explanation is still insufficient.
Is it?
Huh?
The sprinklers didn't get the body wet, but that doesn't mean the murder happened when he said it did.
What are you...
Because you see, there is a way the body could have avoided getting wet.
Interesting. I'm listening.
All it would take is covering the body with a certain something to keep it from getting wet.
Alright. I guess the thing that is in the shed?
I got it! You're talking about the tarp, aren't you?
You catch on quick. You're right. All you'd have to do is cover the body with the tarp, and that'd take care of the water. In fact, that's exactly what the killer did. The dirt pattern on the tarp can attest to that. Only one side of the tarp got dirty, because that's the side that got covered in water.
Makes
The
sense.
side that faced down over the body, meanwhile, kept perfectly clean. This proves that the killer used the tarp to keep the body from getting soaked.
But why would they go to all that effort just to keep the body from getting wet?
Because they wanted us to think that the body was there later.
Most likely so they could cloud the issue of when the murder actually took place. In other words, to create an excuse exactly like the one Makoto just gave us.
Damn. Why would Kyoko say that? Why would she want to make me look like a killer? Yeah, that's not what she's doing actually. She just wants the truth. The tarp must have touched the body, right? But the body,
Wait. Something's not right.
what isn't
And
right?
what might that be?
I can't worry about Kyoko's motivations. If I don't do something, everyone's gonna think I'm the killer. I have to refute what Kyoko said. Are we gonna be able to refute it? Knife, body before the explosion, exploded body analysis. Alright?
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
What about the knife? Yeah. Can I? No? Okay.
Shoot!
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
Okay.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one
It's because the spring, but the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless.
it's because that side was protected from the water.
Yeah, but it wasn't protected from the body itself.
Shoot!
Should I listen to the whole thing until the end?
By covering the body with the
Yeah.
top,
The killer prevents.
So the reason that is because the
Sprinkler got.
but the underside of it was totally spot.
It's because that side was protected from the water.
Yes.
Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
No, that's wrong.
Yeah, there you go.
Actually, one side being clean is pretty strange if you think about it.
Yep.
Because the blood wasn't dry before the body got blown up, right? Byakuya said it himself. Not to touch it, or you might get some on you. If you put a tarp on a body in that state, it absolutely would have gotten blood on it.
Well, maybe the culprit washed it, so nobody would know they'd used it.
And why would they just wash one side?
If they had, they would have washed both sides. Just washing the one side wouldn't hide anything.
Oh, yeah, true.
more than that, what if the very blood we saw on the body was meant as a kind of camouflage?
Indeed, it is chicken blood.
What if, after the killer used the tarp to avoid the sprinklers, they then covered the body in blood that didn't belong to the victim?
You mean someone else's blood? Where would they get something like that?
Chicken.
I know! They could have grabbed some of the blood packs from the nurse's office.
No, they got the chicken, got the blood of the chicken, put the blood there, and threw the chicken to the freaking plant. And the plant ate it.
That's what Hifumi did, right? When he pretended to be dead?
No, that's not what happened this time. The killer got the blood from right there in the garden.
Yep, chicken. Where's the chicken?
I got it! Could it have been chicken blood?
Chicken blood.
What? Chicken blood?
Chicken blood.
When I checked the chicken coop before the murder, there were 5 chickens. But after the murder, there were only 4.
So, you're saying someone killed a chicken and then covered the body with its blood? Man, that's messed up.
Killing a living thing just to do something like that is awful. They should have at least eaten it.
I mean, someone ate it.
I wonder if the killer had to get the blood from the scene so they wouldn't be spotted walking around. Anyway, there's no denying that a chicken went missing, which provides a basis for my theory.
Perhaps, but even so, there's one thing that still doesn't make sense.
What is it?
You said the culprit used the tarp to avoid the water and then covered the body in blood, right? But if that's the case, then the blood should have soaked into the ground around the body. But that's not what we saw. Only the victim's clothing had blood on it. The ground was completely clean.
I have to agree, that certainly is strange. Maybe they didn't apply the blood at the scene. Maybe they covered the coat in blood beforehand.
They covered it beforehand?
When you discovered the body, was it wearing the coat like you normally would?
No.
I think so.
No, of course not. What are you talking about?
Wait, no. The head was through the neck hole, but the arms weren't in the sleeves.
It was backwards.
Then that settles it.
Sorry, I'm having a tough time keeping up. What settles what?
Here's what happened. The murder took place before the sprinklers went off, but the body didn't get wet because the killer covered it with the tarp. Then, later, at the same time the killer was gathering up the tarp, they pulled the coat over the body, the coat they'd already covered in blood.
Alright?
This series of cover-ups was meant to disguise the actual time the murder occurred. They wanted us to think the murder happened sometime after the sprinklers had gone off, at 7:30.
If that's actually what took place, it certainly becomes possible that the murder happened earlier.
But to pull all that off, wouldn't they have had to go back to the garden after the sprinklers turned off?
Yep.
That actually wouldn't have been all that difficult.
Huh?
They already had the coat ready, so they just had to grab the tarp and pull the coat over the body. They'd be done in no time.
Maybe. But still,
Hina, after you met up with Makoto in the dining hall, did you two stay together from that point on?
Oh no. I headed off to the gym, and Makoto didn't show up till later.
Okay.
Then he had plenty of time to spare, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, but it was not me, it was Toko.
That's not...
Don't bother saying it's not possible.
I must admit, Kyoko's reasoning is sound. Makoto's alibi is inadequate.
God damn it. Was it I? Was it me, guys? I'm starting to doubt myself. And the suspicion falls back on me again. But why? Why is Kyoko trying to entrap me? I don't understand. Narrator. This guy's dead body. Alright.
Well then, it looks like we're back to square one.
Are we?
Makoto's alibi is no good, so once again, our suspects are him and Kyoko.
For serious, man? Which one of them did it?
Kyoko knows too much.
Hey, why don't we let luck decide? Let's flip a coin. 50-50 odds.
How much of an idiot are you?
See? Pretty good idea, right?
No, not that. I just remembered something super serious.
Super serious.
Well, don't just stand there. Out with it.
You know that knife we found all black and burnt?
Uh-huh.
The one we found stuck in the body before it exploded, right?
Yes. What happened with it?
According to the Monokuma file, the knife went all the way through, from front to back.
Then why would they need chicken blood?
So, what about it?
I'm pretty sure I'd seen that knife somewhere before.
Yeah. I had it in my drawer. All the evidence is pointed at me.
That's what I thought when I first saw it. I just remembered.
Listen, more important, now that we have the knife, what are we gonna do with it? Yeah.
It's the knife we gave to Makoto?
Yeah.
You don't seem surprised. You must have noticed earlier.
Yep.
Then why did you hide that fact?
It's not that I hid it. It's just...
Damn. I couldn't be sure of what happened last night. I am still surprised. Are those gloves? They do not look like gloves, they look like hands. I thought maybe I really did kill her.
Suspicious. Very suspicious indeed.
Indeed.
The knife we found stuck in the body came from Makoto. Now I'm totally convinced he did it. 12,000% convinced.
Yeah, considering everything up until now, I should be able to make it clear. I have to prove that I didn't murder anyone. I am not the killer. How will you prove that, Makoto? I mean, I don't want them to kill us, but this guy's dead body before the explosion, when the body was found, fragments near the dead body. What?
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it.
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right? So there's no
No.
question. You took that knife of yours and killed her with it.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
Yes?
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it.
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed
Is
her,
it?
right?
Wait, what did I just use?
Shoot!
Wait, I'm confused.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it?
If he did have
That knife before, that seals it! Just because I had that automatically...
well, getting stabbed is what...
Yep.
No, that's wrong!
Yeah, it didn't die of the knife. It died of the explosion, right?
Wait, hold on. The stab wound isn't what killed Mukuro. That should be clear from the description of the cover-up we just heard.
Lies! We never talked about what killed her!
No, don't you remember? The killer covered the dead body with the tarp, and then put the bloody coat on it, right? In other words, the victim never wore that blood-stained coat until after they were dead.
Okay, fine. So what?
So, when we discovered the body, the knife had been thrust through the coat along with the body. Meaning, if she wasn't stabbed until the coat was put on, and she was already dead at that point, obviously the stab wound isn't what killed her.
Yep.
Maybe you stabbed her twice. Once to kill her and once to cover it up.
There's no way that's possible? Why? Due to the explosion, the victim's identity is unknown. However, dead body from the blast, the victim had been stabbed a single time with a knife, which went through completely through the body. They also had been struck in the head with an object about as thick as a metal pipe. The body was covered with other wounds, but these were of least several days old. They've been struck in the head. I still think that it was Kyoko who killed the person.
I got it! The Monokuma file clearly states that there was only one stab wound.
Oh yeah, it sure did. I totally forgot about that.
Then the knife.
Was just another piece of camouflage set up by the true killer.
Camouflage.
They probably stabbed her to draw attention away from what actually killed her.
Alright.
Exploding the body afterward was probably meant to do the same thing.
Look at Toko flying.
The explosion severely damaged the body, making it impossible to know what really killed her. It was all the killer's attempt to destroy all evidence of their crime.
Alright.
So they wanted us to notice the stab wound and then detonated the body afterward. They meant for us to latch onto the knife as the cause of death, then destroy any evidence proving otherwise.
Oh, hey, I have a question. It kind of goes back to the beginning, but
Alright, go on.
what's the deal with that explosion anyway? Why'd the body just blow up all of a sudden like that?
If you bothered to put that lump of gray matter between your ears to use, you'd know the answer.
Alright.
Well, if you're so smart, just tell me.
I'll tell you. I bet some unknown quantum particle caused an atomic level spontaneous combustion!
Yeah, the spontaneous combustion. That is the answer for everything.
I might be dumb, but even I'm not dumb enough to believe that.
Go ahead, Makoto. Tell her or we won't make any headway on this.
What should I tell her? There's only one explanation.
I got it! After the explosion, we found a tiny fragment of something on the ground near the body, right?
Right.
That fragment reveals the cause of the explosion.
Uh-huh.
Huh? You know, I feel like I've seen something like it somewhere before.
Yep.
That's only natural, because of course, we saw the same thing when we dismantled Monokuma. It's part of a bomb.
Oh! Then the explosion was because of the Monokuma bomb.
Anyway, the culprit's motive is becoming more and more obvious by the minute.
Is it?
They wanted the knife wound to look like the fatal injury so that we'd suspect Makoto. And the only one who would benefit from that
Is Kyoko?
is the only other possible suspect. You, Kyoko.
Hold on a second, Byakuya.
What's the problem?
Well, I just feel like we need to think this through. We still don't know what actually killed the victim.
That's true.
We kinda do,
It's
though.
definitely bugging me. What really killed her?
A pipe to the head.
Fine. I have no problem with that. Let us continue the debate. It won't change the facts of the case regardless.
We need to determine what ultimately killed the victim. I need to concentrate. Just read the freaking report, man.
Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
The explosion didn't kill her for sure,
Alright.
I guess.
Well,
That's
yeah. She was already totally dead when that happened.
And it wasn't because of the knife, right?
Right.
Then there's only one other thing.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. According to the Monokuma file,
Uh-huh.
that's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
Yeah.
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body.
Yeah, but those were not big enough.
Then, shall we continue the debate?
The victim's fatal. The explosion
Alright.
didn't kill.
Well, yeah.
And it wasn't. Then.
Oh, yeah. That's gotta be it.
And more than that,
The victim had
had suffered countless wounds across her entire body.
What do you think? There's a mistake lurking in what I said?
Shoot!
Yeah, it is right what you said, but...
Then, shall we continue the
Uh.
debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
Okay.
the explosion didn't kill her for sure, I guess.
Well, yeah. She was already totally dead when that happened.
And it wasn't because of the knife, right?
Should
Then
I-
there's only one other thing.
Oh, yeah. According to the Monokuma file, that's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
And more than that,
The victim had suffered
I'm just gonna
countless
use
wounds across her
use this on the first statement by the
then
guy.
shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has
Yet to be determined.
That was
No,
it, guys.
that's wrong.
That was it.
Mukuro died because of the blow to the back of the head she suffered.
Yep.
What about the wounds all over the rest of her body? They didn't have anything to do with it?
Of course not.
The Monokuma file makes it clear that those weren't fresh wounds.
Oh yeah, good point. If they were old, I guess they don't really matter.
okay. Then we're safe in assuming the blow to the back of her head is what killed her.
Uh-huh.
But then, what was the murder weapon?
The Monokuma file says she was hit with a blunt object, about as thick as a metal pipe.
Oh, I bet it was the pickaxe!
Oh, you think so?
How is that even possible? If you hit someone with that, it'd cave their skull in completely.
Well, maybe they held it the other way and hit her with the handle.
No way! The balance would be all off. You wouldn't be able to swing it with any kind of power. I wouldn't mind testing it on you if you want.
Heh.
No thanks. I bet you just hit me with the metal end and call it an accident.
I'd love to scoop out that nasty brain of yours, throw it on the ground, and spit on it.
I didn't think that Toko... is Genocide Jill pretending to be Toko?
I feel the same way! Looks like we're on the same page this time.
Seriously?
We want to figure out what killed her, right? It just so happens we already know.
Do we?
We already know? I knew we could count on you, Master.
Is he gonna say, Makoto, explain it to them?
So what was it?
Go ahead and tell them, Makoto. Surely you've deduced the real murder weapon?
God damn it. The real murder weapon. I mean, do I have that? Oh, the titanium arrows? No. Yes? Are the titanium arrows? I guess.
I got it! Mukuro was hit in the back of the head with something. And that's what killed her. And that something was the titanium arrow we found in the locker in the dojo.
An arrow? That's what the culprit attacked Mukuro with?
It does seem that way. But I guess we will find next time, guys. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and see you on the next part to continue with the class trial.